Hello, welcome to McNaughts on Tour. After a 1,000 mile drive from the Glasgow area in Scotland to Ile De Re, this episode 2 then captures our touring around the island of Ile De Re. We've driven to the roughly northwest corner to Loix, Loix, and we're here for a few days, and then we've got 2 other campsites over the next 9 days that we'll move around on Ile De Re. And because the island has so many cycle tracks, we'll be touring around on bikes as well. You might get a wee map camp shop from the centre. Just a short cycle from the campsite, we come across the cycle path right on the coast by the sea. There must have been a very strong storm because the path is all broken up and the trees are quite strongly distorted all the way along this coast. There's a circular helipad which sometimes had a helicopter with floats taken off from here, so I was very careful when flying the drone. There are actually more cycle tracks in Ile De Re than there are roads, and so we tried to take advantage of this and had a few cycling tours around the island. This was our longest cycle of the whole trip actually, so it's a 10-mile round trip from the campsite at Loix to the lighthouse on the very northwestern tip of the island. But there are many cycle tracks and they farm salt, so there's also many opportunities to buy salt that's been farmed from the land if you want to do that. We were lucky with the weather on the cycle to the lighthouse. It was a glorious sunny day, and it's actually mostly flat. It's a fair way, but it's mostly flat. And when there are hills, they're fairly easy hills. So after spending a few days in Loix, we drove the campervan the short distance to St Martin de Re, so more in the centre of the island, the kind of north centre of the island. This is actually like a walled town, and it's built in ramparts, so it's really quite interesting to see. And it's another short drive from the campsite at St Martin de Re into the port, which is really quite lovely and picturesque. There's plenty of bars and restaurants around the harbour. We actually do get quite busy. Certainly when we were there were a lot of people, but there's more than enough to choose from. On a different day we cycled from Saint Marie de Re to La Flotte, another fairly flat cycle. La Flotte was also a beautiful town, all built around the harbour, and again we were really lucky with the weather. I'm trying to sample the tea and biscuits in as many different cafes as I can. Where are we going? Hello Lola. Hello Lola. Hello Lola. Wendy, where are we? We're now moving on to the last campsite that we're visiting in Ile De Re. So this is Saint Marie de Re. It's on the southwest corner of the island, and it's quite rural, and it's actually very, very near the beach. We're actually right on the beach. We arrived early, but the campsite people just booked us on and let us in, which was helpful. It doesn't look so much here, but the road around the campsite is actually quite narrow, and the turns are quite tight. It's perfectly doable, but it is actually much narrower than other sites that we've been on. When it actually came to approaching our pitch, just with the locations of other units, it just was not possible to reverse into the pitch like we wished to. So we had to go in front ways. The beach right next to the campsite had restrictions for dogs on the beach at this time of year, so we couldn't take Lola there, and that's the entrance we were just passing. But there are other beaches which didn't have restrictions, so we did later on just to the outskirts of the sand, like against the rocks, which is give her a chance to play and dig. Again, the weather was absolutely glorious. There are two primary squares in the towns in this part of the island, and they're connected either with quite quiet roads or with cycle tracks themselves. We initially did find it a bit tricky to find the kind of centre squares, but we did find a tourist office, and Wendy loves a map. Wendy has a map with a smile. Yeah, we're going to do it again then. So heading east from the campsite was the final place we cycled to at Rivedoux Plage. So there's a nice beach here, there's a wee harbour, you can also see the bridge going from the island onto the mainland of France. This was another nice stop, and not a long cycle rather from the site. So we've reached the most southerly point in this trip, and now we start heading north.